It is 8:30 p.m. Sunday, August 21st, and I'm bored and looking for company. So I thought I'd do a quick Q&A. I posted in the Super Learner group that you guys should follow on Facebook because it is my your live streaming platform of choice. Hi Amy, hi Christian, hi Rita. So feel free to ask me questions about anything, and we'll see where we end up and how it goes. Christian, you'll be very happy to know that I am about to get Delta Silver status. I know it's not Diamond status like you, but very soon I will be a Silver member. I'm very excited about it, and maybe I will see you in a lounge somewhere in the world. It's kind of dark here, but if I switch to the light app, then it's gonna disable the streaming. Anyway, feel free to ask me questions, guys, and I'll be very happy to answer them. And I'm just gonna check really quickly and see if IFTTT has automatically posted this. It should post it, but it might take 15 minutes, which would be kind of lame, but that's the way that is. What's everybody doing tonight? Ten people watching. Amazing. I'm gonna share this in a group. Share in a group. Super learners. Ask me anything. Boom. Post. More friends are on the way, guys. I just posted this in a group I administer with 6,000 people. So we'll see if that works. Atlanta on Wednesday. Amazing. I'm going to be running into Ian. Well, not running into. Ian and I are meeting up in Miami for Summit at Sea, which is pretty exciting. And that is actually why I'm getting Delta status, is they have like some special flight for Summit at Sea. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Hi, Nitish. How are you? Where are you? It's really dark in here. It's dark. It's dark. Hey, Kelly. Christian, in November. Like second week of November. Why, thank you, Nitish. I appreciate that. We're in India. It doesn't look like IFTTT is doing this auto-posting thing that I want it to do. I think it's because my hashtag has an and sign in it. Oh, that's awesome, Christian. Looking forward to it. It's basically the same time I saw you last year in Miami. So that will be very cool. Ask me questions, guys, if you have questions. I know there's only 7 people on right now, but feel free to ask questions. And I'll be most happy to answer them, especially if you're enrolled in one of my online courses. I'm here to help. And if not, I'll just answer emails, well, messages. Yeah, I know that about Ian. But he and I will be on the cruise for a couple days, so that'll be cool. Questions, 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 questions. Or don't ask questions. You guys can just watch me type on my computer. That's cool too. Not a problem. It's interesting because everybody voted that I do these things here instead of Periscope or Meerkat. But when I used to do these things on Meerkat and Periscope, there used to be like 160, 170 people. And now I do them on Facebook and it's like 14, 15 people. So people voted for one platform, but then don't show up, which is, I mean, fine, I suppose, but... Alright, here we go. I'm starting a restaurant business. How can I integrate Internet of Things in reducing cost and timings? Whoa. That is literally an anything question. I don't know anything about the restaurant business besides the fact that it has, this is unfortunately a little bit of bad news, but it has one of the highest failure rates of any businesses in the world. A very hard business to be in. Internet of Things, really interesting. I would imagine that you could do some really cool stuff with repurchasing. Like Amazon has those buttons. I mean, obviously you wouldn't do your supply chain purchasing from Amazon, but they have these like buttons that you can order stuff, and you could probably do some cool IoT stuff around that. What else? Obviously you can do really cool IoT stuff with security, preventing theft and spoilage and stuff like that. How else could you use IoT in reducing costs? Well, I would imagine if you had some kind of intelligent inventory system, you could imply the just-in-time inventory purchasing system used by Michael Dell. But at the scale you're doing things, I mean, the reason just-in-time JIT was so big for Dell was they were doing millions and millions of dollars in inventory purchasing, and so the interest on having millions and millions of dollars stuck in inventory versus not stuck in inventory was beneficial for them. But I would imagine for one restaurant, it doesn't make a big difference unless you count against spoilage. You'd have to look around the restaurant industry and see what kind of spoilage is average, and you could potentially reduce that. But I would think that the turnover for food is so rapid in the restaurant industry anyway. Yeah. Parvinder, good question. How have Udemy changes influenced my revenue? So overall, Udemy revenue was down between 60 and 70% for us, which is a very considerable sum of money. I'm afraid to, regrettably, I must admit. Fortunately, that's really pushed us to do our own thing and invest in our own platform. And you see me really building up our masterclass programs. We've increased the pricing. We've increased the quality. We've done a lot more promotions. We're now doing paid ads to our own premium products at becomeasuperlearner.com. So that's been really good. And, well, I can't say anything, but I have a feeling that Udemy might change their pricing policy in the very, very near future. I just have a feeling. That's all I'll say about that, but I know that a lot of instructors across the board have had very significant reductions in income, which has resulted in very significant reductions also in Udemy's income, and a lot of the top instructors, of the top 10 instructors, probably 3 or 4 have left. Guy. Thank you. So yeah, a lot of the top instructors have left Udemy, and a lot of us have lost huge sums of money, like huge sums of money. So I have a feeling if you check Udemy in the very, very, very near future, that they may revert their pricing back. That's all I'm going to say. Just a hunch. That's all I can say. Good questions, guys. Some of them I know nothing about, but that's completely fine. What points do I keep in before entering any industry if I already have rivals enjoying the market share? Ooh, this is a great question. I'm not sure what you mean by what points do I keep in. So here's an interesting thing that I learned along the way about marketing, is that you have different market sophistications. This completely changed the way that I looked at marketing. It was a really huge moment for me, because imagine like the first time anyone came out with a pill for fat loss, right? And they're just like, this pill makes you lose weight. People are like, oh my god, a pill that loses weight. Super low sophistication market. So like basically all they had to do was be like, try it out. People would try it out. That's sophistication level 1. Sophistication level 2 is like now there's a bunch of competitors. So now they have to say like our product is proven to help you lose weight 75% more effective, right? And you see a lot of products out there that do this, like not super sophisticated stuff like that. If you look at maybe electric cars right now, people are still comparing the Tesla's range to the range of the Honda Insight or whatever other car. Not really, because Tesla is a far superior product, but look at industries that are kind of like not that mature, not that sophisticated, and that's what you see, level 2 sophistication. Then you get into like levels 3 and beyond, and I always forget what happens after level 3, but level 3 is where you start talking about proprietary this, proprietary that, right? So like look at televisions, right? Samsung's talking about their like proprietary curve technology. Look at diet food products are now in like level 3 where companies are talking about our proprietary mushroom matrix blend, right? That's where people are talking about this level 3 stuff where they're like, we have a patented new technology that allows us and no one else to do that. So that's level 3 sophistication. I don't know how this would help for restaurants, but that's what I look at when I go into a marketplace. So when I created my super learning course, there were already a ton of speed reading products and a ton of memory products. And I didn't know this back then. I was kind of doing what I thought would work, and it just so happens I got really lucky. And I came at it with a level 2, 3 sophistication, whereas the marketplace was really starting to get at a level 2. I mean, memory stuff's been around 5 years, or 50 years rather, if not more, since Harry Lorraine and Tony Buzan. So I came out and I was like, a proprietary method for accelerated learning, speed reading, and memory all together, right? And nobody else has taught it in this way, memory first, then speed reading, then connect them. And that's honestly why our courses do so well, is we talk about this proprietary teaching style, and even if you've tried 100 other speed reading courses, this one's the one that is going to work because we have this unique teaching methodology. So top 5 marketing copywriting books. Well, Boron Letters by Gary Halbert, really, really good book, recommended to me by Anthony Metivier. Scientific Advertising is a classic. 21 Immutable Laws of Marketing, also a really good book. I'm going to throw in The E-Myth Revisited. It's not a marketing book, but it talks about business management and how to kind of systematize and turn everything in your business into processes. And I think marketing and copywriting and advertising in your business, like everything else in your business, should be a process and a system. So that's where I would start. A lot of people would say the Robert Collier letter book, but I found it to be just so repetitive. So I'm going to say like skim that one potentially, whereas the other ones like Scientific Advertising, you should read. I mean, you should like read. You should read with a highlighter. And books like the Boron Letters at times, although they can be windy and talking about like Halbert's time in prison, also you should read and you should highlight and then you should reread because there's so much good shit in that book about life and about like just incredible takeaways that are now so common in copywriting. And I've seen just like a 200% increase in the quality of my marketing communication from reading that book. Nitish, have you ever used knowledge-based marketing through digital media to increase your course? Knowledge-based marketing through digital media. Yeah, that's all we use, honestly. That's literally all we do. It's like, get 10 free chapters, or listen to this free podcast, or hop on a free Q&A with me on Facebook, or hop on a webinar. All we do is knowledge-based, right? Like, the only communications, the only lead magnets I do, everything that I do is all about educating people and then getting people kind of into my world and into my universe. And then once I have them in my universe, hopefully moving them up and up and up through the kind of ascension model, and just giving them a ton of value. That's why I do a free podcast. That's why I do free webinars. Right now we're driving ads to webinars, free trials. It's all about knowledge-based because that's what works. I mean, and also what works in terms of copywriting, since Parvinder asked about copywriting, what really works with copywriting is education based, like education, entertainment. So I wrote a sales letter earlier this week, and this is a topic that I'm going to go into because I'm reading right now about Ben Franklin, and I'm going to write these long sales letters, like 3 to 5 page sales letters about like Ben Franklin, what we can learn from him. And did you know that Ben Franklin used to like steal books? Did you know that he used to spend all his lunch money on books? And like, what can we learn about that? And inspiring people, educating people. And then at the very end, as Halbert says, like, you never want you never want someone to know they're reading an advertisement until the moment when you want them to purchase, right? And I think that's so brilliant because I see way too many people, and I get way too many emails every day which are like, "Hey, Jonathan, just want to let you know we have a sale going on." Like, you already lost me. But if you're like, "Hey, Jonathan, did you know that with 5 simple tips you could?" And this isn't about like swindling people or anything like that. It's not about tricking people into reading your ads. It's about like give people value so they feel you've educated them. And then the automatic thing that happens in the human brain is reciprocity, right? Like, wow, this guy just like for free sent me this whole email about how I can double my memory. Uh, and then he asked me for this thing, like try out a free trial. Like, are you going to try it or not? Most likely you are. And the other thing is the psychology behind that. It's kind of like Gary Vaynerchuk. I haven't read his book, but I've heard him lecture. And he's always talking, his method's called jab, 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 right hook, which is like give, 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 and then ask. And it's like a lot of people will think like, holy shit, if this is what the guy gives away for free, like hundreds of hours. I've now given away over 100 hours of podcast content. I give away 10 chapters of my book, 10 free lectures of my course. Like, if this is what he gives away for free, what do you think he gives away for $299? So that's my huge rant on information-based marketing, and I'm still a student of this. I think everyone is, but I'm still a relatively new student. I'm still learning a lot. I still listen to a lot of marketing podcasts. I'm reading books about it, stuff like that. Do I use visualization, and if so, how? I use visualization constantly. All the memory-based techniques that I teach, everything is visual-based memory. Everything. The way I memorize names, numbers, faces, serial numbers, events, books, history dates, everything is visualization-based. I suggest, though, I sense, rather, that your question is more around, like, do I use like visualization of the future and kind of like gratitude visualization, stuff like that. I do have a methodology that I use called creating a life dashboard. And so I kind of visualize where I want to be in 6 months, and then I create goals around that, and I visualize those goals. I'm probably not as strong in that as I should be. Like, I don't sit down and do this like law of attraction, the secret, like visualize where you want to be in 5 years. But I think I do visualize a lot, and I use visualization a ton. What areas of my day have I given up to be more effective? It's a tough question. I like to think that I haven't really given up very much. I've designed my lifestyle in such a way that, like, if I don't feel like working on a Tuesday, I can go and do yoga or sit in bed and watch TV. And I've very kind of like deliberately designed my life like that. It's taken me 10 years to get to the point where I can just like stay in bed on a Tuesday and not feel guilty. And if I don't want to work, I don't work. But I have given up some things, like I don't go out to bars anymore, and I don't drink alcohol. And if I want to see my friends, I see them over dinner or something like that. And that's not so much to be more effective as it is to be happier and healthier. And I just find that like alcohol and bars don't really make me happy so much. There's a couple bars in the city that I'll go to if my friends are there because I like the atmosphere and stuff like that, but that's about it. Morning ritual, good question. I wake up, I do my hygiene routine, if you will, toothbrush, all that kind of stuff, floss, all that kind of stuff. Then I sit down and meditate most mornings. Some mornings I give myself a pass, and then I just do it at night before bed. Although I've started doing it before bed regardless of whether or not I did in the morning. But I meditate for 15 to 20 minutes. Then I have usually 3 eggs, 3 slices of bacon, and a bunch of water. I was having strong coffee in the morning, but that's kind of messed with me. So I've cut that out for the last week, and I'm feeling pretty good about that decision. I take fish oil in the morning. I look at my schedule and see if I'm going to be in the sun. If I am, I don't take vitamin D. If I'm not, I take vitamin D3. If I'm planning to work out that day, I'll take cordyceps. Some mornings... Oh, I also have chia seeds in the morning. Why, thank you, Nitish. What a sweet guy. Amazing. How do I balance personal and professional life, and how do I cope with business challenges? I have a tool that I use that was taught to me called the Life Dashboard. Well, so I created the Life Dashboard, which is just a dashboard of like 4 different things that different experts and myself use. One of the powerful tools you can Google, it's called the Wheel of Life. I teach this stuff in a course that I built with one of my mentors called Creating a Meaningful Life. But it's basically a wheel, and you have 8 segments in it, and then the goal is to balance the wheel, and you fill it out like a pie chart. I can actually show you what it looks like, truth be told. Life Dashboard. Hang on. I will show you. So I fill this out like every 2 weeks. This is a snapshot of a real dashboard. And the goal is not to be like this. This was kind of a particularly tumultuous time for me. But basically you have like health, you have career, finance, romance, friends and family, personal growth, fun and adventure, emotional, spiritual, and charitable, counterclockwise there. You fill this out, and then basically you set your goals and priorities based on what's lacking. So many people try to fill the holes with what's working well. So like your family life sucks, so you just work and work and work and work. Or like you're not satisfied with where you are in your career, so you like, I don't know, do a bunch of fun and adventure stuff, or get really, really into your church or whatever. And that never works. Like, the happiest people are not the people with, like, you know, a bunch of 10s and a bunch of 0s. They're people, even if it's all 4s, like, only a round wheel rolls. And so, basically what I do with this Wheel of Life, I teach this in 2 different courses, actually. What I do with this Wheel of Life is I try to do things that fill 2 segments. So, like, I'll exercise with friends, or I'll make a date out of going to a museum and learning something, or I will, there's all kinds of different stuff, like I'll meditate with family members, blah, 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 right? So you try to do things, it's like a good way of multitasking. Sorry, my mustache is like really itching me. It's a good way of multitasking, like only do things that benefit 2 areas of your life. So exercise with friends, read while you're at the gym, eat healthy meals or cook healthy meals with friends. Instead of going to a movie on a date, go to a museum, do things that enrich you and other aspects of your life. And then I balance and prioritize my life based on that. So like, if I'm feeling like I'm getting enough out of my career, I stop focusing on work. I take time away from work. I say like, this week I need to take half days and I need to focus on my exercise regimen, or I need to focus on spending more time with friends, and I just adjust based on that, right? So like last week I felt like I was working too much the week before, so last week I just took like a bunch of time off and just hung out. Nitish, romance is 1 or 2. How do I plan to fill that gap? If I had an answer for that, it wouldn't be 1 or 2. That is definitely a development area for me, and it's one of the few things that like setting goals doesn't really seem to help. Like, the more you set goals and processes around it, the more it seems to escape you. So if anyone has any recommendations, that's like a big wild card for me. It's something I haven't figured out. Let's see, what other questions? What daily activities that normal people do and I stop them because they waste my life and other activities? Yeah, that's good. I'd love to say that I don't watch too much TV, but in reality I probably watch about an hour a day of miscellaneous videos. I try to make them educational, like I'll watch TED Talk videos and stuff, or I'll watch like Udemy courses, but I've cut out, I definitely never just turn on the TV and watch what's on. So like if I want to watch something, I have to deliberately find what it is. So like there's only a couple series like Game of Thrones that I'll watch, and then I don't end up sitting and watching whatever's on next. And that's been a really important habit for me, is like don't have cable TV. Only watch like what's available in that kind of moment and what you've deliberately kind of hunted out. What other things have I cut out? Daily stuff that I've cut out. That's the big one that jumps out at me. And just like realizing that a lot of times that you want entertainment, you can do things that are very enriching for that entertainment. So like a lot of times I'm sitting around and I'm bored, and my temptation is like to go on Facebook. So I'll just like go play the piano, which is on the other end of the room, or I'll go play guitar, or I'll even like call up one of my friends and start speaking Russian to them. It's like you can find a lot of entertaining things that are actually super enriching for you. So this idea that like in order to relax you need to like watch mindless TV or like scroll through Facebook, like you don't have to. And in fact, sometimes it's much more entertaining to do something enriching or healthy. Like sometimes it's much more fun to go to the gym than it is to just like scroll through Facebook. That's another one. Like friends always like kind of call me out and they're like, "Didn't you see on Facebook?" I'm like, no, I didn't see on Facebook. I don't scroll through Facebook. I go on Facebook to like build my brand, interact with my students, and I don't like scroll through Facebook. I don't scroll through Twitter. I don't have notifications on any of that crap. Like lately I've been a little bit more guilty because I'm doing so much interacting in the groups that I manage, and like just like with my Burning Man group and stuff like that, I've been guilty of being on Facebook. I can just feel the productivity suck. So like usually my policy is like don't consume garbage content. I also, another thing that I've cut out, like I don't read news. I read very specifically, like if I want to know exactly what is happening right now with the election, I'll go read that. But I don't like have notifications on my phone. I don't scroll through CNN every day. Like I'd rather be reading books than doing that, than reading like the news every single day or knowing exactly what's going on between Russia and Ukraine right now. Like if and when I want to know, I will spend 10 minutes and I will read 5 articles and that will be it. But I'm a big advocate of a selective information diet. Thank you, Nitesh. I appreciate that. What other questions do you guys have? My battery's starting to run low, so I'll take just a few more questions. And let me know if you guys like these like Q&As, because like I realize it's a little bit self-important to just like sit here and be like, I know everything. I don't know everything. As my romance segment shows, I do not know everything, and I'm in no way superhuman. How do I regain focus when I lose focus while working on an important task? That's a really good one. Admission, up until recently, I've used very heavy doses of nootropics, caffeine, prescription stimulants, for which I have a prescription, so it's totally legal. But I kind of realized recently, like, you start like very small. You're like, I take a very small dose of this. Once in a while, I take this Alpha Brain, and once in a while, I drink this. And then, like, very quickly, you realize like you're taking enough pills to choke a donkey. So I'm stopping that. So I'm having to rediscover what I can do that's not like popping some paracetam or drinking a double espresso. Here's what works according to the research. Get up, move, exercise. Tony Robbins is really big on this, like getting the lymph moving in your body. He'll jump on a trampoline, go do some pull-ups or push-ups. That really helps. It gets the neuroepinephrine elevated in your brain, makes you more focused. So that works. Other things, get a little bit of sunlight. Get some oxygen, fresh air, go out, walk in the park a few minutes. But also I'm an advocate of Pomodoro breaks. So like work for 25 minutes, take a break for 5. You can modify that up to 90 minutes, but your attention span almost certainly isn't more than 90 minutes. And there's just study after study after study that you need these breaks. So I would say, I think it was Francisco Cerrillo who said it, the guy who originated. But he's like, you're gonna lose focus, so build the breaks in a systematic way so you minimize. So you don't work for 2 hours and then just crash, and be useless for the rest of the day. Like take 5-minute breaks every 25 or 30 minutes, test it out, see how it goes. Right now I am reading a book in Hebrew called הדרך של יובל באמא שלך, which means like Yuval's way in your mother or something like something awful. It's just like this satirical comedy book. I met the author in an event, and he assured me that the Hebrew was not like too difficult for me to read because I read very slowly in Hebrew. I'm also reading Benjamin Franklin's unabridged autobiography, which is like a wealth of copywriting gold for my business. Like, if you're on my newsletters, just expect to get like letter after letter about Benjamin Franklin and how genius he was and all these ideas he had and how we can model ourselves after his methodology of learning. Favorite book I've ever read? I can't pick one. I've read like 250 books. Connect. All right, there we go. Lost you guys for a second. One of my first favorite books, and a book that helped me realize that books could change who I am and how I am, like that I could actually become a different person just by reading a book, is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Very, very important book. Everybody should read that book. Every human being should read that book. Because it just teaches you, like, if you just adopt, I think what I've come to learn is we are what we repeatedly do. Like, you are not your biography or anything like that, or your job or your education level. Like, you are simply what you do every single day. And if you act like a jerk, you're a jerk. Like, it doesn't matter how nice you think you are. Like, perception is reality. And other people's realities are just as valid as yours in the sense that no one person's reality is actually true. There's no such thing as absolute truth. So, uh, definitely that book changed my perception of how I could shape myself. And then I would say Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week definitely changed my perception of how my life could look and the idea that I could actually design my life. Because I read it at the time in the same state that he started his journey, like working 120-hour weeks and hating my life. The book that I just said, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Q&A is amazing. Really glad to hear. What would I do if I was going to have my small business and I don't have money? About team building. Start with unprofessional people. Ooh, that's good. That's a good question. So the prevailing theory in entrepreneurship, and one that is proven time and time again for me to be true, is get the right people on the bus and then decide where the bus goes, because the right people will steer the bus. Now, people misinterpret this to think that the right people means like the most qualified, most credentialed people, and in reality that is not the case. And my thinking on this really shifted when I read this book, The E-Myth Revisited. I read it February of this year, because I always thought like just get the best people, and by best that was like look at their resume, best schools, they've worked at the best companies, pay them the best salaries. And in reality, that book helped me realize that if you get someone who has a ton of experience, you're kind of getting someone that's been trained by someone else, and that may or may not be a good thing. Like, if you get Sheryl Sandberg and she built eBay's business, like, that really works out super well for you. But if you got someone who came from McKinsey and only thinks in the McKinsey way, that can be like a negative in running your business. So I wouldn't shy away from getting people who are less experienced in your business, but always get people who have the right personality trait, because most people don't change their personality very quickly or easily. Like, I know I just said that you can change your personality by reading this book, Dale Carnegie, and you can, but like people's preferences, like someone who's an introvert is not going to have an easy time becoming an extrovert or a salesperson, and someone who isn't passionate about your product is not just going to become passionate about your product. So my best hires are the people who love my products, who love what I'm doing, who are passionate about it, even if they don't necessarily have the skills. Skills can be trained, but personality, cultural fit cannot. And also, don't worry if you don't have the money to pay people ridiculous salaries. Like, you can pay them in equity. And also, I always say that like freedom is the new currency. Freedom is the currency of the new economy. Like, if McKinsey offered to pay me $2 million a year, but I had to fly every Thursday and every Monday, I wouldn't take the job. And I don't think most people in my position would, because I can work viewing the beach. And like, if you give people freedom and agency and make them feel that their job matters and that they matter, uh, I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of how you can motivate them. Books to read on that are The New 1 Minute Manager, uh, Coaching for Improved Work Performance by Ferdinand Fournier. Daniel Pink has a pretty interesting book, The Surprising Science of What Motivates Us. There was one other that I wanted to say. Well, also the E-Myth deals with management. Let's see. What's the top value I learned from Steve Jobs or my role model? Interesting question. Steve Jobs, I think the most valuable thing that I learned from him was one that like life's too short to work on stuff you don't want to work on, and just this idea that like you're gonna spend a lot of freaking time working, so you better enjoy it, and also this idea that like be really really proud of the things you say no to, and Tim Ferriss later like elaborated on this point. Tim Ferriss actually in a lot of ways has elaborated on a lot of points that Steve Jobs has talked about, but this idea that like if it's not a hell yes, then it's an F no, right? Oh, that's a great quote, Esther. Higher character trained skill. Totally true. So if it's not a hell yes, then it's an F no. I think that's really important. And also, anytime that you find yourself saying, yeah, but the money's really good, like question that a lot. Because all the projects that I've done for the wrong reasons, and kind of known that they were the wrong reasons, but said like, look, maybe it'll be amazing, and they always fail. Selecting business partners, whew, super tough. I brought into my last business a family member and a very close friend as business partners, and that was because I could trust them. Running the business put a lot of strain on those relationships, and since I haven't really partnered with people, I would say I'm kind of a firm believer that you can become friends. Like you can go into business with people and then become friends, but it's very risky to be friends with someone and then go into business with them. And I think that's because emotions don't really have much of a place in business, or at least not like negative emotions like jealousy and anger and ego and stuff like that. And I don't know, I find that I do business with people and I become friends with them very much. But I don't know, like business really strains friendships and family relationships, and I know a lot of like husband and wife couples who've gone into business together, and just the dynamics are different. And in business, there needs to be a hierarchy. There needs to be someone who makes these decisions and makes these judgments. And in a lot of situations, I mean, my mother's listening to this right now, right? And she was the operations manager in one of my companies, and I was a bad CEO. Like I was a really bad CEO, but at the same time, I needed people to like listen and trust my judgment, and that can be hard to listen to your like 18-year-old kid saying like we're freaking doing it this way and don't argue. And it's like what? Like I raised you and I have 4 times the life experience you do, you little shit, you know. But yeah, as my mother says, we survived it. But it's hard, and I also think that like management is super hard without all these intertangling relationships of husband and wife or father and son and stuff like that. It's super hard. Management is one of the most difficult skills in running a business. Like you can talk about needing to learn accounting and finance and all this stuff. That's all well and good. Like I can hand you a textbook and you'll learn. Management and leadership are way harder to learn. And it took me years and years and years and a lot of experiences that I won't go into here of failure and like kind of transcendental experiences to really understand how to lead people. And I think people I work with today would say I'm a pretty decent leader, whereas people I worked with in 2008 would say I'm a pretty lousy leader. Nitish, that's awesome. Go out there and crush it, and good luck with the restaurant business. Guys, I'll take like one more question, and then I should probably go about my merry way. But if you guys like these Q&As, then please take a moment and follow my personal account, because I did a lot of polls of my audience, and they all said that they prefer Facebook Live. And for some reason, they said that they prefer if I do the Facebook Lives on my personal account. I'm not sure why, but Donnie, there will be a replay. Best nootropic. So I've tried almost all of them. True Brain works really, really, really well. True Brain is on par with like a Ritalin or Adderall, and even can help you get off of withdrawal from Ritalin or Adderall. Same goes for Optimind. Really, really good one. I haven't tried Alpha Brain Instant, but the normal Alpha Brain that I took is kind of like you need to take it every day for a month, and that didn't impress me at all. Siltep didn't really impress me that much. I'm waiting on a shipment of modafinil, although I'm kind of trying to get off the hardcore stimulants for kind of personal reasons and sanity reasons, because they're kind of starting to make me like a space cadet. But yeah, I would say start with True Brain or Optimind. I really like those two products. They really work well. Nexus works okay. It's just very subtle. Like, I know it has aniracetam, and that's supposed to be like the king of the racetam family, but I found it to be really, really subtle, and I've taken it a few times, and it's never like, oh my god, wowed me. I put up a vlog detailing my experience throughout the day, like live vlogging it on YouTube. It just didn't wow me. And I really like Jesse, and I really like his companies, and I really believe in his products, but for me, it wasn't the same as Optimind, which is interesting, like I said, because racetam, aniracetam is supposed to be really powerful stuff. Do I believe in the other life, and how am I, like, afterlife? Ooh, big question. Do I believe? I go back and forth, because on the one hand, I think there might just be eternal souls, but I don't think that we're going to come back to this universe. I've gotten really into this like quantum mechanics, and just the fact that there's so much that we don't see. Like, did you guys know that there are museum exhibits of particles of light that appear in two places, and people look at them and they're like, oh, it's like two of the same thing. No, it's like there are things in this universe that appear in two different places in space-time. Like, you know, if that exists, then it's highly likely that maybe our souls go somewhere. Or it may just be that they don't, but I definitely believe in kind of this multiverse and the idea that there are infinite parallel universes. And I think maybe, I mean, if there's an afterlife, my best guess would be that we just hop through different universes one at a time in some kind of weird or chaotic order. And then that maybe sometimes there's a glitch and we come back, and that's why some people, like the Buddha, seem to have knowledge of previous lives. I would say that is, it's as good a theory as any, I think. But heaven and hell, I think those are kind of ridiculous, half-assed attempts to kind of describe what happens to us, and I think they're a means of population control, not to offend anyone's religious views or anything like that, but I think religion has served a very important role in controlling people's behavior, as it should, until you have these like laws and systems and countries and nations and organizations, but I'm not a big fan. Alright guys, I realize we've now just reached peak attendance in the video, so I'll take maybe one more question. I also realize I keep saying that, but give me another question and then I will sign off, and I'll make sure to keep doing these Q&As if you guys enjoy them, and I will probably post them up on YouTube as well, potentially. Also, make sure guys check me out on YouTube, because I'm trying to put more emphasis there and share more free content, because that's kind of one of my development goals, is give away more stuff. Definitely make another one. Will do. Definitely will do. Happy to help. Happy to help. I love to hear myself talk. I've gotten very used to it. I used to hate it. When I recorded my first version of the course, I would like edit the videos and I'd just be like, oh God, I sound awful. But now I've gotten used to it and I don't hate it after many, many, many years of practice. So, paradise and hell, yeah, don't believe in it. Don't believe in it. Though I do think, I do believe in karma, and I do believe that your existence, both present and future, can be better or worse based on how you behave. I think that's important to note. All right, last question here. Is the learning to deal with your voice a practice thing, seeing as I really seem to get crazy about that? That's a really, really good question. So there's two factors here that I think are at play. One, I've listened to myself speak probably more than most humans on this planet. I've edited hundreds of hours, not edited, but like quality control. I listen to every podcast episode that I do at least once, just to make sure that it sounds good and like make sure the editor didn't miss anything. It's very important to me, and also I take notes on my own podcasts. I don't edit them though. So I've listened to like hundreds of hours of that, number one. Number two, I've listened to probably 100 hours of my own courses. I've listened to rehearsals of things that I do, lectures, stuff like that. So that's number one. And my phone's going to die, so I'm going to make this a short answer. Number two is I didn't always speak as well as I do today. In fact, quite the contrary. And I have practiced. So my mother messaged me just now that I'm saying a lot of relative to how I normally speak. Because normally when I know what I'm going to say, I memorize things and I use teleprompters. And I've practiced very deliberately how I deliver points and how I speak and how I make facial expressions and how I alter my body language. Even if you listen back to like my first podcast episode 2 years ago, I sound awful. Like, just like, greetings everyone and welcome to the show. It's so I can't even mimic it because it's so mechanized and sounds like I'm reading. And today I can read your comments and make it sound like, and this is a very important skill as well, to know how to read and make it sound like you're actually speaking from the heart. So like, Donnie wants to know, is the learning to deal with your voice a practice thing, or is it, that sounds like completely unnatural. So learning how to read and learning how to present as if you're just speaking from the gut. So those are the two different aspects, and I would say definitely check out a Toastmasters International meeting or 10 and go learn and go practice, because it's like any other skill. If you don't actually practice it and get feedback from others, then you're not going to get better at it. That is a fact of life. Last time I went to a lecture, like from a school setting, probably like 2 weeks ago, I went to a startup pitch competition, and periodically, once in a while, I go to lectures. Lee, wonderful. Such a spitfire, that one. Once in a while I go to lectures like on the startup scene in Tel Aviv. I went to a paleo lecture recently. I went to an acro yoga lecture. That was super interesting. I try to go to lectures periodically, but sometimes it gets really boring because in Tel Aviv at least they're all about like startups and raising VC money and UX design, and I'm like very out of that world and out of the whole startup scene. Alright guys, I don't want my phone to die because I want to be able to save this video. Lee, I love the comment. That's really brilliant. Definitely speaking from the gut and from the mind. And a little bit from the heart. I gave some like pretty open confessions here about my own substance use. So thank you guys for checking in, and check me out on YouTube and hit follow if you're not already following. Make sure that you don't miss the next Q&A. And guys, send me comments on YouTube, send me messages on Facebook, whatever, of videos that you want to see on the YouTube. And if you're in any of my courses, feel free to ask questions there. And follow me on Twitter. I don't know. Do people still use Twitter? Follow me on Twitter if you use Twitter. All right, guys. Thanks very much for checking in. And I'm going to see if I know how to finish this thingy. Finish. All right. See you guys.